What if everything's working out for you exactly as it should be? What if everything that was meant to unfold is unfolding in the exact right divine timing? I say this as someone who has now hit record 3 times today to record this episode live. And I firmly believe that's just the way that it was meant to happen, right? In the exact right divine timing. Last week's episode, I shared a confessional, and I do invite you to go back and listen to it. I hope you find it interesting, and hopefully it's exactly what you needed to hear. And I'm Marta Saray Greca. I am your host. This show is produced by Whole Truth Communications, which is my content creation, marketing, and PR firm, through which we only accept select clients, and we focus on a few selected clients at a time so that we can fully focus on you. That's the VIP treatment that we give you. It's as close as you hiring an entire in-house team without actually having to hire an in-house team, because we become your champions and we believe in your mission and your vision just as much as, if not even more than you sometimes, and we're there to lift you up and really come alongside you and become a partner. I am a multi-passionate entrepreneur. I also am a financial strategist, and I specialize in working with the decision maker females in the households, and oftentimes those are female entrepreneurs, those who are confident enough that they can be one of the main decision makers in their household of finances. And again, often that's female entrepreneurs. And so the two work really well together, because with working with female entrepreneurs, I also get to give them marketing insights that make sense financially and financial advice that makes sense to grow their business as well. So again, last week, I shared how I became those two things and what brought us to here, where we're recording this show right now at Discovery Church. That is the place that is so gracious and kind to allow us to record here. This show is meant to be raw, real, imperfect, and just imperfectly the way that it is, to encourage you to show up as imperfectly perfect as you are too. There's no fancy production right now. There is no editing. It's raw, uncut, and hopefully we keep it interesting just the way that it is too. And I intentionally make this a short and focused listen, because you're busy and you just need a quick pick me up to infuse you with hope and light, with the divine truth to allow you to continue onto your passion and purpose. Every week we have guests that share their own confessionals of their own hardest of hard stories that maybe brought them shame, maybe brought them guilt, maybe not, but how it was actually God's divine timing and leading them in the path that they were meant to be led. Much like my story last week. And this week, we're going to unpack it a little bit more and give you some even more nitty gritty details. First of all, I have another confession. What else is new? And that is that I was thinking back on my episode last week, and I did sense a lot of anger, a lot of resentment, right? And that doesn't serve us. And so I went back and I thought about it, and I thought about, I talked about my experience with the Catholic Church, and I did want to share that I have immense gratitude for the years that we were in the Catholic Church and the most wonderful people that were part of that community. They were like family to us in a certain church before, the mergers and before all these business decisions started to happen. And there is an understanding on my part that the Catholic Church and the schools, yes, they're an organization, but they need to be run like a business. And just like how I have my boundaries of, if you don't pay your invoices, I can't serve you, they had those boundaries too. The situation that occurred, and I want you to listen to last week's episode to listen to the details. Again, it wasn't personal. Actually, I don't know what I even shared so far, because this is the third time I'm hitting record on this episode, but you can't take anything personally. Nothing's really about you. The good stuff isn't really about you. The bad stuff isn't really about you. Stuff just happens, right? And so when I hit post last week, and then subsequently my team took it and clipped it up and published it to the various platforms, I had like a little bit of panic of, I don't know if I should have shared that much. I don't know what my husband will think. I don't know what my kids will think. And I don't know what people will think. They'll think, how dare I share so much? But I truly feel that what is meant to come out is what came out, and I hope that you can relate to it. And I would love to know if you had a similar situation and what your own stories were. And again, I share gratitude because there were many years that the Catholic Church was very generous and our kids could go to school there. And I thought I was doing the best thing for them. But now, again, I find that the older kids who have their own minds and they're independent, they're teenagers, or some are adults, some are almost adults, it actually pushed them in the opposite direction because of what they saw that religion was. And that's not something they wanted to be a part of. So, I pray to God that us being here at Discovery can help them through that, because it helped me through that. It helped me become. I always felt like I had a special relationship with God, and it somehow miraculously, because God is full of miracles. And in fact, the theme this week here at Discovery is miracles. I have an even deeper relationship with God, and my husband is coming to church with us, and he's going to be volunteering for the first time ever here at Discovery. And, my teenagers are going to be part of the youth program, so we'll see how that all goes. But I'm also a part of a mom's Bible study every week on Wednesdays. And I shared a little bit about I didn't really share about I didn't mention my podcast because that would be weird, but that's okay because I'm also weird. So, I wouldn't put it past me to share it another time. But we were reading James 1. And first of all, for me to even be able to tell you a part of the Bible, who it's by, what it's about, and this chapter is about, he's speaking to 12 tribes who've recently converted to Christianity. And I wanted to and so how this Bible study works is we use the SOAP method, and this is something new that I've learned that I can't believe I'm able to tell you about it, but that's, the power of being a part of this church. The SOAP method is, you go through it, and, you write out the scripture. I don't remember what O stands for. I don't remember. Observation. A, application, and then P, prayer. You pray about it. So this scripture had, on verse 10, and again, I'm amazed that I'm able to say this, had a little bit of a quote between the different versions of the Bibles that we each had in front of us that talked about something about, like this is a little bit more like it. I don't remember the exact quote, but maybe someday I'll be able to spout out the Bible. But something about the poor are cherished and the rich, need to be humbled. But some of the versions said humiliated. So then we went back and we studied the Greek origin of the word humiliation. And I wanted to bring this to light so we can we read the chapter and then we say, okay, what stuck out to us then why? And I wanted to bring this to light because I thought, there have been times when I've been very prosperous. I mean, I built a business from scratch. My husband built enterprises from scratch that projected to make millions and made, close to that some years. But it's a very long story that I won't go into. But anyways, and then we went through very difficult financial hardship. And prior to that, so it was like a very, a trout and then a peak and then a major contraction. And so I wanted to explore that from that standpoint, because I think that there's a lot of misconception in the Bible that, and at least from my part in my upbringing and the way that my father understood it, was that the poor were to be cherished. And so it was good to be poor. You should be poor. But there is so much mistruth about that. Yes, the poor are cherished. Yes, everybody's cherished, because it doesn't matter, because we're all humans. No matter how much money we have, we're all God's children. And also the rich are cherished. But God calls us to be generous with that wealth. And what do you do with that wealth? What do you do with that fame? And I do believe that when I had that long period of prosperity, and it's coming back, that I needed to be humbled. I wasn't humble. I was very braggadocious. I was very show-offy. I felt that I had to be in order to get more and more and more and more clients. I took big risks. I really didn't donate much. I donated a percentage to various nonprofits, but I certainly didn't donate to my church. And so, maybe it was justice, God's justice, that then, we were no longer able to get scholarships for our kids' school. And again, if you don't know what I'm talking about, please do listen back to pause here, listen back to last week's episode, and then come back here. And it seems like we're having success recording. The system hasn't stopped yet. So that's good. So, and then there was another portion of that chapter that another member of this Bible study, she wanted to focus on. And that part is, be patient and wait for his work to be done in these chapters of hardship and these moments of hardship. And that hit me really hard because I did this time of contraction lasted so long, and I would keep having these conversations with God, like, God, why is this happening? And like, my husband and I work really hard. We're very smart. I think we're good people. We try to help others. That's actually how I get my highs, is helping others. And I hope that doesn't come across as somebody, however that comes across. But what I really mean, and it's actually a problem with how much I love to volunteer and help others, that it's to the point of it costs my family sometimes in ways that it, isn't most beneficial to them. And I do believe that my number one purpose is to be a mom and a wife. And so I would have these conversations with God of, why are you doing this for me? I mean, why? Oh, that was a Freudian slip. Why are you doing this to me? When really the question should have been, how are you doing this for me? Because that whole experience, I learned so much financially. Again, it's what led me to be a financial representative of. Still, we are handling these situations. They're very serious financial situations that some of which were poor planning, but some of which were truly circumstances that we could not control. And I had to leave it up to God. So I remember having these very succinct moment during one of these very hard days and going out on the deck, which, by the way, talk about being ungrateful. I'd go out on my deck, which is, my dream home on my dream property, when the sun is shining, there's animals everywhere, at least 10 different species. As soon as I open my door and I look out, there's a beautiful lake. The sun shines and glitters on the water. As the geese swim, you can hear the splash, and you can even see fish jumping out. I mean, it's to the point where we have people knocking on our doors asking on a regular basis, can we fish on your property? Can we just be on your property? And so how could I, even getting to live that life on my dream property, have that experience of, oh God, like, why are you doing this to me? And so in that moment, I was forgetting to be grateful for what I did have. And I do remember having this intense moment with God and him saying to me, my daughter, don't you know that this is all for you? And that hit me so hard, and it was so clear. And it allowed me to continue through this journey without feeling like I was a victim, but rather, why is this happening for me? What am I meant to learn from this? What am I meant to gather from this? What is it that I need to shift in order? Where do I need to lean? Right? And so that's what this episode is a reminder of for you, hopefully, is what if everything that's happening is happening for you? What if everything's actually working out for you? And even if your human brain goes, and sometimes, it could be the devil, goes, how stupid are you to believe that? Sometimes bad stuff just happens, and there's no purpose behind it. There's no reason for it. You don't deserve all the jewels in the world. How does that serve you? How does that thought process serve us when we think that way? Wouldn't it be so much better? Say God didn't exist, which he does. Say Jesus didn't die on the cross for us. Say none of that was real. For those of you who are skeptic, how does that serve you? Right? And it's not even having this belief to be served, right? Because we're here for God. We're here to serve God. But wouldn't it just be so much better if you just adopted the mentality that everything is just working out for you the way that it's meant to? And anytime something doesn't go your way, I know it's hard, but just like offer it up to God and leave it, let it go, and say, maybe this is just the way that it was meant to unfold. And I won't know exactly the reasoning behind it, but maybe everything is unfolding exactly as it should and the exact right timing for you, specifically how it's meant to, for God's will and purpose for you. And maybe different things keep happening in your life to teach you that lesson, to help you be more patient, to help you have more grace, to allow you to recognize the good even more. And sometimes what you pray for may not be exactly what you imagine or what you envision, and it's way harder than you thought. And in those moments, maybe remember, this is exactly what you prayed for. Because I have a confession to make. I don't even know if I've ever said this out loud, but I feel like you're getting the theme here. It's confession after confession after confession after confession. And please know, the reason I'm even doing this is because we have a scheduled show. I am here for it. And when guests reschedule, it's no big deal. I just say, okay, I guess it's my chance to rant and rave, and hopefully something speaks to the heart of those who take the time to listen. So the confession is that when I was building this big marketing agency, I had the team, the office, 50K months, 60K months, really on track to be hitting, $1 million years if I kept going at that rate. And there was a lot of it that I didn't love. There was a lot of it that felt like a lot of pressure. There was a lot of it that felt misaligned, and I just kept building it and building it and growing it and growing it and growing it because of money, because it was making a lot of money. And me and my husband both are like, well, it's making this much money, it must be doing something right. At least we could take vacations, at least we can be super generous with our family, at least we can, I was starting to put a little bit more aside towards investments. But then the house of cards, it crumbled. And it was very humbling, especially because, again, in my moments of great growth, I was not humble. Maybe I needed to be humbled. And I had so much relief, actually, because I had so much pressure on my shoulders. And as much as I would talk about that with clients and help clients through that, I had that. And so I think God maybe wanted to show me what it's like to lose it all and to know that you can still survive through that. You can be okay. The worst case scenario that you're terrified about as an entrepreneur can happen. And you'll be okay. And something even better. Ooh, I'm getting excited thinking about it. Something even better can be built. Something even better can grow from it. You can start from scratch, a blank slate, an empty canvas, and you can build the most beautiful, beautiful reality for you and yours. That's it, guys, for this show, for this episode. Next week, I'll have a guest. And please, if you're listening to the replay on a platform where you can comment, which would be YouTube, what do you think about this? Have you had a similar experience? I want to hear from you. And if you're listening on a podcast platform that allows you to leave a review, please leave a 5-star review and allow this show is my passion. This show is my passion. If I have to be honest, it's my number one passion right now. Something's calling me to it, especially when I got the yes to be able to record it here at Discovery Church, where I can hear kiddos playing in the playground. There's a golf course outside. Every time that I come to service on Sundays or even Thursday nights, they have Thursday night services, I feel alive. I have the most amazing feeling when we're singing and swaying through the music. The sermon is always spot on. The message is always spot on. It's exactly what I needed to hear. It's something that we get to do with my family every week. I highly recommend it, and I would love to personally invite you to come and be a guest and experience discovery with me. But this show is my passion, so I really, really would be so appreciative if you would leave a 5-star positive review, if you would hit subscribe, if you would share this episode if it spoke to you, share it with somebody else. They can listen to it 2 times speed. They'll be done with it within 10 minutes. And as always, I'm Marta Saray Greca. I am your host, and this show is produced by Whole Truth Communications. We help truthful, divine-led disruptors of the truth in their industry to share your message so that we can disseminate values and worth and wisdom through your online presence and also your presence through media outlets. And as a multi-passionate entrepreneur, you know I'm also a financial strategist. So if you're a decision maker in your household and you would love to know whether your money can work harder for you that you work so hard for, whether you're on track to have a financial independence number where you can just live your life and have that financial freedom, please send me a message. I'm here for you, sending you lots of love. And I'll see you next week. Bye, everyone. Bye.